panel at ConTiCon for my first time. That was in August. It's ran by the same people. It's down in South Carolina. And the doors opened at 11 o'clock for badges. Well, my panel was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and 2 people showed up. So, but hey, it was still really fun. I mean, we had some good discussion. So that panel went by in like 25 minutes. So if it ends early, hey, you'll have more time for the con. But it just depends how much discussion we have, really. But this is the Arina Tanemura History and Art panel. I just want to get like a general like survey so that I know you guys. How many of you guys actually know who she is? That's probably why you're here. You're probably here because she made you.
And it sounds fun.
It sounds fun. Yeah, it really is because she's not as relevant anymore as a mangaka. So I kind of just want to kind of revive her artwork so people are more aware of her work. This photo actually right here is the slide is my favorite of her work, which is Full Moon, and this one's probably her most popular one because it also became an anime as well, which she's only had a couple series make it that far. So I put that as the slide. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you just a very brief history of who she is, show you some pictures, and then we're just going to go down the timeline and show a little bit of her work. And hopefully if you're interested, you'll pick up some manga that she has done herself. Lord of mercy.
It's the LARP.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
No, don't put a panel right next to LARP.
Actually, the manga library out there has a lot of Arina, if not all the Arina stuff. So if you get time this weekend, go in there and you can at least start something. Yeah.
Did she do Riot? Magic Knight Riot?
Yeah. No, she didn't do Ray Earth. You're talking about Magical Knight Ray Earth, like different colors. No, that's actually a lot older than Arina's time. And the art style is really, like Magical Knight Ray Earth, that's what it's called, right? Because I used to read the manga way, way, way back. But that's, like, I remember that art style being almost like 80s-ish. She started more in the 90s, I believe. So this stuff is a tad newer than that. Wrong button, not the left click. That was my welcome thing for ConTiCon. Okay, so who is Arina Tanemura? Obviously, she is a mangaka. She's most well known for creating Kamikaze Kaito Jean and Full Moon wo Sagashite, the manga, which both of those are most popular because they are some of the only ones that got an anime adaptation. We'll actually get to Time Stranger Kyoko, which got a little tiny clip. And then there were a couple ones that were going to be in the works and may have gotten like a really obscure clip that no one can find anymore, but in the end they just didn't ever end up being released. She was born March 12th, 1978, so she's really young. If I'm not mistaken, she's even younger than Masashi Kishimoto is when he first started. So she was born in Aichi, Japan, and that I believe is not quite the Tokyo area, but I believe it's the northwest part of Japan. And she really enjoys doing karaoke when she's not in the studio and writing manga. That's one of her favorite things she likes to do, and she mentions that in a lot of interviews that she does. And it's so funny because she's a huge fan of The Lord of the Rings, actually, which is really random because I don't hear a lot of people like in Japan who like Lord of the Rings. You hear a lot more Star Wars, I guess, maybe sci-fi. But it's really cool that she's a really big fan of Lord of the Rings. She used to be on a label for her manga work with Ribbon magazine in Japan, but recently there's just been so many business issues that she actually dropped her label, so she's just working under her own label, which is extremely hard to do, to like push your manga out in Japan and everything. So that's why nowadays, for those of you who know her work, she doesn't have a whole lot of newer stuff out. It's actually been quite a while. So that's just who she is. I believe, so why am I running this panel? I kind of already addressed this a little bit, but it's literally just her relevance right now is just really low, and I want people to enjoy her artwork and not just read it online. Like, I know it's really hard to do that sometimes, but like her books are really cheap. Normally, I mean, a shoujo beat manga, which is mostly what it's published in America, you can get it for like $7.95 usually at the bookstore. Unfortunately, at Barnes & Noble, I think the only Arina Tanemura mangas you can find, I think, is Sakura Hime, because that's one of her newer ones. if you go to cons, I know a lot of times at cons you're buying them like used or something, but still at least it's a way to show that you well, you can also buy them online at Barnes & Noble. I don't think they are used copies. I think you can still buy them new if I'm not mistaken. So I just wanted to kind of like revive her because she's been really quiet lately, and I used to love her artwork in junior high. My first manga that I picked up was actually Full Moon. My first manga ever, like before Naruto, before anything like that. It was and I think the thing that drew me to it was actually her art style. It was the eyes, it was the sharp lines, the thin hair. It was just something that I didn't normally see a lot of the times growing up, you know, watching Digimon, Pokemon, where hair is a lot thicker, eyes are a lot smaller, not as detailed. So to see something like this really drew me in. Even as growing up, I wasn't really a big fan of Sailor Moon artwork. It was just something different about this I really, really liked. And it also, even in the 90s and early 2000s, it didn't look, like none of her work really looks old or 90s, it looks very new. There's a picture with her holding artwork from Gentleman's Alliance Cross, so she's really cute. And then this is a video that I hope works. This is just gonna be a tiny like clip video of her, there's no sound or anything, but of her drawing, and you'll notice that most of her artwork is created with watercolors, which those of you who worked with watercolors are very difficult to use. It's very, very hard for them not like to spread in places that you want them to, and to not spread in other places that you don't want them to. And of course, if you mess up, it's a real pain in the butt to fix it. So this video is actually really cool, just so that you can get an idea of how she goes about doing her artwork. So she already has everything outlined, and starts with the skin. The shadows of the skin usually is the easiest part, because from what I've learned, if you do just like a flat paint on the face and then add the shadows, not only it'll bleed, but the shadows will turn out a little darker than you want. If you go darker, then go lighter on top. Usually for artwork like that, it's gonna turn out to be a lot better. Same with the hair, the dark spots of the hair first. I would imagine this would take her hours to do. And those of you who are familiar with her work, like in Japan, a lot of the times the splash pages in manga are colored, and they're almost like a sleeker print, and not like paper. So you can actually see the colors. Well, here it's not really like that because not as many people buy manga here, so it's lower budgeted. So they have, so a lot of the splash art you see in manga, almost everywhere, is just going to be the black and white thin paper, just like the normal comic strips would be. But anyway, if you are familiar with Arina Tanemura, every new chapter that comes out, there's about 5 or 6 chapters in one manga volume, there's a new splash art page. So you can imagine how long it takes her to make these. Even the black and white ones are originally in color. They were just printed in black and white for America. So just the time it would take is just incredible. She makes it look very digital almost, but it's all studio artwork. Which me personally, I'm a big fan of studio work as opposed to digital artwork through Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. I just think that this looks a lot cleaner. It just looks a lot artsier. As actually, when I was in college, I wanted to do work like this, and my professor was like, well, this is digital, isn't it? I was like, no, actually, this is mostly watercolor and ink, and he was actually very shocked. Oh, another thing she's really known for, what she's doing right now, in the background, she's really known for making just these patterns or these splotches or textured backgrounds, which is usually pretty hard to accomplish. See, and doesn't that look like a digital image? But you saw her do it. It was completely out of paint. So this is like one of the reasons why I really want to show people her work, because it blows your mind. I actually didn't know that most of her stuff was watercolor until I really started researching her more in high school and stuff. Like, I always thought her stuff was digitally done, but that's really amazing. Does anyone in here do watercolor or can do things like that? How is it usually?
I work she's working really dry, it looks like.
Right,
Super
so
wet
it's not
and
gonna
dry,
run.
And I work really wet, but what blows my mind is I've been reading her since I was, I want to say like 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a watercolor artist, and I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, it kind of blows my mind.
I know, it really does. It's just, I don't have that kind of patience at all. I mean, I barely work with watercolor at all. The only time I've done it is when I've done crayon resist, where you write with crayon and then you put the watercolor and the crayon pushes out the watercolor to make new shapes and streaks and stuff. So that's always really neat. This isn't really super related, but one of my favorite manga techniques is if you're reading a violent or bloody or gory horror manga, a lot of times the way they get the blood splatter, like if there's a character and she's standing there, but there's blood splatter on top of her, or not necessarily on her body, but just on the artwork. It's really scary how they do this. Usually they draw everything, they'll color everything, and then they'll dip. If they're just doing a black and white, or if they're doing color, they'll do red. But if they're doing a black and white, they'll dip a fairly big brush, not a very fine brush, but in ink, and they'll get a glob on it, and they'll drip it on their work, which is insane because if it drops in the wrong place, you can't fix that. Or some people will actually put it on a wall, and they'll take the ink and they'll splat it on like that. That's how you get that really realistic blood effect on a lot of those manga arts that we see, even in the comic, not even in like splash art. You'll see that a lot of times. It's just like, so it's really fun. Oh no, we already saw this. Okay, so her first work was Ion, which I wasn't able to read until after Full Moon. Ion was a smaller project. It was only a couple chapters. It was just one volume that came out. And it actually came out in Japan in 1997, but Arina Tanemura wasn't established here at all. So it wasn't released here until 2008, so about 11 years later, which was really confusing because for the longest time I thought maybe it was a newer manga that she had done, but it was just an older and re-released manga of an older one she used to do. So the story is basically Ion Tsuburagi chants the letters of her first name as a charm to bring her good luck when she needs it. Then she meets Mikado Horai, the president of Psychic Powers Research Society at school, and touches a mysterious substance she's been developing. Now chanting Ion gives her telekinetic powers. Me and telekinetic powers in anime is just really strange. Like, there's some telekinetic powers in like the new anime Charlotte that aired this past year, and I was very like apprehensive about it. I was like, I don't know, that's not really very original, those kinds of powers. So it wasn't, I'm very always like defensive of anime, like I'm not sure if I want to get into it or not. But this manga does it pretty well. There's just in the romance and the awkwardness of the character because she's still in school. So it really worked out. Plus it's an easy read. I mean, you can't really complain about a story too much if it's like really small and it doesn't drag out. So this is a really perfect one to read if you just want to start out, because then you only have to buy one volume, you don't have to buy a whole series, so you don't have to like invest a lot in it. So did anyone actually read Ion? Figured you. Okay, cool. So quite a lot of us. That's really good. So if you want to read it, I'm almost 100% sure the manga library has it. You could even sit in there for probably not even an hour and finish it, to be honest. So this never got an anime adaptation. Of course, it's like really small, but this is her first work, and I have some pictures. I can't believe this was her first work because look at that. That's crazy. Like, if you think about it, Masashi Kishimoto, because I'm sorry, I love Naruto so much, but when he first started out, like his Naruto pilot, chapter 0, is awful. Like, even the first couple volumes of Naruto, like, the artwork's not that great. Of course, he was always told that he wasn't going to be a good manga artist because of his artwork. Of course, it improved by the time Shippuden became a thing. But he improved, but Arina Tanemura, it's just something about her where she was always just super, super good when she released her stuff. Unfortunately, couldn't find anything much older than this, like maybe concept stuff from when she was young. But like her work started to look like this around the time she was like 16. So yeah, there's just natural talent for it, I would have to say, like just natural. So these are both watercolor images, and I like the background on this one because it looks like she probably did that technique where she dabbed the paint by doing this, with the picture being down and it just falls. because it splats just a tad. I'm not exactly sure if she got that effect. It could also be a gel pen or like a lighter. You can always get paint pens, and those are also popular for like filling in the little holes as well. And then this was a promotional poster from Japan. I don't know why it says AKB48. That's a like popular idol group in Japan. I'm actually not sure why it says that. I just noticed it. That's really interesting. This is actual manga artwork from the series. Again, like you look at it, you're like, wow, this is very, very good. But as we'll get more into more of her work, you'll see how she actually improves, if she can even improve from this. I just like the different textured backgrounds. I love the cloudiness of her face over there, and like the different streak lines and the faded circles. I just really like that style a lot, and it blends well. It's and shoujo's, a lot of shoujo does this. I mean, obviously, but I there's something about shoujo that I like because it's not box like it is in shonen. I just like how it blends together so well. Like you have a character here, the face. I've always really liked that. I think that's why I was drawn to shoujo manga first before I really got into shonen. All right, so here's a big one. Who has either read or seen the anime for Kamikaze Kaito-jan? Okay, cool, quite a lot of us. I figure as much because this was a really popular anime. It's also really popular cosplayed. Does anyone know Cupcake Cosplay? No, you do. Yeah, they actually did cosplays from the series, and it's really cool because one of my close friends, actually when they were selling the cosplays on eBay, and she bought one of them, so she has one of Cupcake cosplays, so it's really neat. So again, this came out in 1998 in Japan, but of course it took a long time for her work to come over to the States, so it didn't come out here until about 2005. So high school student Maron Kusakabe has a secret. She's Phantom Thief Jean. She sneaks into private art collections to steal paintings in which demons reside. Jean's task is to seal the demons before they can devour human hearts. So far, she's been able to evade the police on her midnight outings, but now another thief has come onto the scene, Phantom Sinbad, and he's trying to take the paintings before she does. I read this and it sounds like a little kid's book to me. I don't know why, like, she's going around stealing paintings, but there's another person and he's gonna steal the paintings before she does. But sometimes I like to call this, like, girly Dean Angel, because, like, thieves in the night and everything. So it actually was re-released quite a few times. This photo with the Japanese, this is obviously the Japanese release. And the first English release in 2005 was this artwork, but of course it was under a different publisher and everything instead of Ribbon. And then I want to say recently, actually 2011 maybe, I can't remember exactly, but they re-released the manga for that new cover. So you might actually be able to find that one a lot easier than the original one. I bought the original first published copy on eBay. I literally spent $5, so they're not expensive. And the first volume is a really quick read, actually. I really do love that. Do you guys want to watch the whole thing? Maybe if we have time at the end, I'll show the whole thing, because it's a really beautiful opening. I'll unplug it so that it doesn't do feedback every time. But so yeah, as you can see, the differences between the manga and the anime adaptation of the series. Now this is actual manga work. Obviously, it's very, very different. There's a lot more thin, defined lines on the eyelashes, and I've been drawing manga forever, so it's really fun to me. So I love these little details. You can tell that with this story, it got a lot darker in ways. You can even just tell by the way, like, she's crying and the dark lines here in the shadows that she's getting a little more darker with her work. So this is Short-Tempered Melancholic. This is actually a collection of short stories. So if you don't want to get into Ion necessarily, if you find this just has several different, just little tiny, couple chapter stories that you can read just to get a taste of what her storytelling, what her art is like. So the first story in it follows Kaijika, a ninja girl. Her love interest Fujisaki wants Kaijika to become more ladylike and less ninja-like. while childhood friend Tanimoto is fine with her as she is. So as you can see, the person she loves doesn't really like how she is, whereas there's a guy who likes her, but she doesn't like him back, but she likes her for who she is. So just simple plots like that. The next one is called This Love is Nonfiction. A pair of pen pals exchange false pictures of themselves, and then they agree to meet on a date at the aquarium and playing their best friend's help. So that's also a really small one. That's my least favorite out of all of them. And then the last one is Rainy Afternoons for Romantic Heroines. A girl realizes that by turning down her current crush in the previous years, turning him bitter towards all girls. And then there's one more, The Style of Second Love is Tanemura's inventive debut work about a girl in love with her best friend's boyfriend. So dramatic. So yeah, this is a really good start. They even might have in the manga library again. If not, I don't know. There's no manga sellers in the dealer's room, are there? There's like a tiny one. Oh, I looked in there because I was looking for a Nana manga. So dang it, that's it. That sucks. But yeah, that's a really good way to start. Again, it came out in Japan in 1998, but didn't come out later until 2008. So this is artwork from it, and this artwork is actually surprising. Well, see, the thing with this manga is actually technically she wrote this before Ion, so the work is actually a little older, and this is like her beginning work technically. Like this is the first one that she wanted to publish, but it came out published later because she started to, with Kamikaze, she really like put her name out there finally, so she decided to release this. So this will be the oldest work you can find for her that's published. As you can tell, she kind of looks like Sailor Jupiter, actually, I think. Alright, so it's Time Stranger Kyoko, and we were actually talking about this one. So this one came out in year 2000 in Japan, 2008 in the States. 15-year-old Kyoko is the incognito princess of Earth, attending public school anonymously, while her twin sister Yui has been asleep since birth. Kyoko sets off on a quest to gather the 12 godstones to save Yui's life. But as an added bonus, Kyoko hopes Yui will take over her princess duties and stop those pesky riots going outside the palace. This series was very short, and this is not one that, like, when we talked about this too, was just not too great. They didn't make it into a full anime, but there is an anime clip that I have that I'll show you guys, and I'll plug the sound back in, just so that you know really how stupid this was and why they weren't going to release this. Like, even Arina, when she came in to like watch them make it, and they showed her this, like, a couple clips, probably not this one, but a couple clips, she was like, no, please don't make this, it's so dumb. Oh, well, first I have artwork, and then I think I have the clip at the last part. So, like, the artwork's really good. Here's watercolor, and then this is an actual, and as you can see, like, things get darker, things get more defined. There's more emotion in people's faces, which is what I really like. Okay, and then here is the clip that I'll show. It's very dumb, but this will just give you an idea of why it didn't end up going on. See, it's stuff like that. Like, it's not that funny, it's not emotional, it's really just not what Arina's storytelling really is. And, like, the parts of her shows that are funny are actually, like, I'm laughing funny. So, of course, this whole project just got scrapped. That's the only clip you're pretty much going to be able to find of this. So, it didn't really have anything. Oh. This is my favorite one. So Full Moon Osagashite, 2001 in Japan, 2005 in America, and just this, oh man, up in the room, I had my whole series for Full Moon that I was going to bring down and just pass around so that you could see, like, actually in your hands what the manga looks like, but I left it up at the room. But of course, there's the Japanese one under Ribbon, and then the one under Shoujo Beat for America, and that's just, the American release is just so familiar to me, being the first manga I had ever gotten, and I've had it for like about 10 years now. It's hard to believe. This is probably like one of her really dark stories. A bittersweet tale of puppy love, tragedy, and aspirations of pop star fame. A spark of hope ignites to a blaze when 12-year-old Mitsuki Koyama's life, when a comical pair of magical beings appears to prove to her that dreams really do come true. Young Mitsuki loves singing and dreams of becoming a pop. Well, why did I repeat that? Oh, sorry, I think I repeated that. Unfortunately, a malignant tumor in her throat prevents her from pursuing her passion. However, her life turns around when two surprisingly fun-loving harbingers of death appear to grant Mitsuki a temporary reprieve from her illness and to give her singing career a magical push start. Basically what that means is like she's 12, I believe, in the manga normally, but she wishes for the Shinigamis to make her 16 and taller, have blonde hair and be beautiful, and so that because she can sing in either form, but she knows that she can't make it in the industry if she's only 12, and she thinks she's not celebrity enough to look like she can make it. So this is actually a really sad story of love, story of like long distance relationships too as well, and love triangles. And I believe I have artwork first, and then I have the opening, and then I have a really nice clip. This is a singing anime, so in the manga obviously you don't know necessarily the tune they're singing. You can't really hear the emotion obviously with manga, so I do like the anime a lot. So this is just some splash art that you'll find. Obviously our art really matured here, and this story just took off for some reason. I think it was easy because it really related more to young girls. I mean, I was 12 when I picked this up, and like Mitsuki was 12, and like she was immature, like she's just kind of like any other 12-year-old girl, so I related to her, and I really think that's why it really picked up, because by the time, like I'm 22 now, so those who were born in like the early 90s, know that by the time you got into about junior high is really when a lot of us started getting into manga and anime, so usually through relatable characters. Unlike now, it seems like 12-year-olds get into things like Free where they really can't relate to the characters. I don't know if they do, but... so this is artwork from the show. Obviously, sometimes she starts to feel really, sometimes she feels really emotional, or she starts to actually get sick because of her tumor while she's singing. This is her best work, in my personal opinion. So this is the transition to the anime. It's a really cutesy opening. The anime is kind of dark as well. Sometimes the anime opening can be a little misleading, but because it looks so cute, but we'll watch it. I actually met someone at TaKoShiCon up in Pittsburgh last year, and she was the first full moon. Well, she wasn't the first full moon cosplayer, because I've seen some of the Shinigamis couple together. But what time is it? Is there a panel? Oh, it's 12:44. Wow, I need to speed it up. But this is kind of her iconic dress because she wears it in the first volume of the manga and in the first episode when she auditions. So when I saw her cosplay this, she made it herself, and I really freaked out because she was really happy that someone knew who she was because of like the iconic drill pigtails and like the outfit. So it was really cool. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So this is just a tiny clip I'm going to show you. This is kind of like the musical style that is aimed towards in Full Moon. And now that I think about it, I should add, was anyone at my music and anime panel or no? You were. Yep. There's a lot of people in there, so I wasn't sure. I should actually add this to that because singers are musicians. So let me show you this couple minute clip.
Shock and awe.
Yeah, and after that, the judges I don't know why, because that performance was good, but at the end of that clip, the judges like throw their papers down and they go, "We found the one, she wins the record label," and they just go crazy. So I guess it's mostly because she's pretty, and let's be honest, that's kind of what happens sometimes in stuff like American Idol, which is fake as crap, because honestly it was always a popularity contest. So that's that, and then I'm going to just go through these real quick because I think the next panelists are here. So Gentlemen's Alliance Cross, 2004 in Japan, 2007 in America. This is actually one that is rated older teen. It's a little more mature one that I had a hard time understanding when I picked it up, so I definitely need to go back and finish it. But in return for a business loan of 50 million yen, the prestigious Kamiya family gave their daughter Heine away to the Otamiya family. Heine is now Otamiya. Is appointed to the student council of the exclusive Imperial Academy, a private school for the aristocracy. Even though I know big words, even though Heine is a proper lineage to be in the council, she finds herself struggling to find her place among the many secrets of its elite members, especially for the president who holds her heart, Shizumasa Togu, aka the Emperor. So this one has a little more mature themes. If I'm not mistaken, this was the first one that was rated older teen. So I have to be a little careful bringing it to school, if you know what I mean. So just for like a little more mature themes, there's some artwork for it. Oh, I don't think I have any Mistress Fortune is a very, very new one. I think I have Sakura Hime here too. I won't read that one, but that's another one. And then there's some artwork for that one. Here's the Sakura Hime. This is the newest one. And this one is one you can still find at Barnes & Noble stores if you go really soon, because who knows when they're going to take off the shelves and replace it with new stuff. So I would go find that one quick. That's their newest one. Just wow. The improvement here is crazy. And for those of you who are artists, you guys know that's a lot of improvement over the years. And of course, promotional photo in Japan. There's her holding artwork from a whole bunch of her series. And those are just some of my sources, how I got some information about her. Yeah, and that's it. And thank you for coming to the panel. Not normally a lot of people come to it because people don't know who she is, and a lot of people don't want to learn more about her. But does anyone have anything they want to say or anything before we wrap up and give it to the next panelist or anything? Okay, you can also talk to me after the panel if you want. So I'm going to let the next panelist set up. And thank you guys for coming, and I hope you guys go read her stuff because it's really good.